The alleged Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 263 spoilers were supposed to reveal the aftermath of Yuta Okkotsu's hollow purple on Ryomen Sukuna. Needless to say, the spoilers did not disappoint as the manga saw Yuji, Yuta, and Todo corner Sukuna with another character who comes back to help save Megumi. The previous chapter saw Yuta Okkotsu realize that he could only deal some damage to Sukuna through hollow purple. Unfortunately, Sukuna knew this and actively tried to stop Yuta. Just then, Yuta used blue to pull a voice recorder into the domain. This voice recorder played Toge Inumaki's voice, commanding Sukuna to not move. With Sukuna paralyzed, Yuta hit him with hollow purple. Spoilers open with Yuta's unlimited void and Sukuna's malevolent shrine domains getting shattered as Sukuna lands outside with his skin torn away. Upon seeing this, Todo and Yuji immediately start attacking Sukuna alongside Yuta. Todo asks Yuta to attack Sukuna with as many hollow purples as possible. With that, Todo assured Yuta that he need not worry about them getting caught in the crossfire because he would use Boogie Woogie to avoid the attacks. The manga reveals that after using his domain, Sukuna was again left in a state where it was difficult for him to use court. Unfortunately, the next moment, Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 263 spoilers see Yuta falling as Kenjaku's CT seemingly stopped working. As per the narrator, Kenjaku's CT which Yuta had copied got burnt out once the domain broke. So, Kenjaku's CT got halted even before 5 minutes could pass. Spoilers then switch to Yuta as he realizes that Rika Orimoto not haunting his current body meant that copy CT was no longer his, making limitless the burned-out technique. He believed that he would be able to use Kenjaku's court. Unfortunately, he didn't take any information like that when he copied his technique. Nevertheless, Yuta wished to deploy a barrier for Yuji and Todo in their fight against Sukuna. Todo notices Yuta reaching his limit and admires Sukuna for not loosening up his offense. Upon noticing Todo's distraction, Sukuna landed a black flash on him. Right after, the King of Curses notices Yuji reaching towards him and turning around to defend himself, but Todo instantly teleports Yuji behind Sukuna. Right after, Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 263 spoilers saw Yuji Itadori successfully landing some punches on Sukuna's face. As for Todo, he kept slapping the Vibroslap on his head to activate Boogie Woogie. Todo noticed Yuta's shards of cursed energy from the barrier floating around. Hence, he used the same to switch positions between him and Yuji to attack Sukuna, all while toying with his senses. Yuji finally hit Sukuna perfectly with dismantle at the barrier between Sukuna and Megumi's soul. Even Yuji was adamant about doing that as many times as required to wake up Megumi Fushiguro. Sukuna was left shocked by what Yuji was capable of. He could selectively choose the target of his technique. With that, Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 263 spoilers saw Yuji repeatedly firing dismantle directly at the barrier between Sukuna and Megumi's souls. Ryomen Sukuna was forced to back away as being continuously hit with those blows made it difficult for him to maintain his body. This was also evident in how Sukuna happened to throw up some of his fingers. However, he immediately swallowed them again. Sukuna deduces that Yuji had used a binding vow to ensure that his strikes would effectively tear away his soul from Megumi's body. Hence, he concludes that he needed to avoid those blows at all costs. At the same time, Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 263 spoilers saw Aoi Todo trying to get his spare Vibroslap to recognize itself as his left hand. Unfortunately, it wasn't functioning. However, Todo tried it twice more. The first time Todo used it, no swap took place. Sukuna grinned at this as he believed that he would no longer be caught in Boogie Woogie's menace. However, the second time he tried it, Hana Kurusu with Angel's CT got swapped as she could be seen directly above Sukuna's head. As per the narrator, Todo's binding vow had allowed him to extend his CT's range. Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 263 spoilers then show a flashback of Yuta and Hana. Angel stated that their role ended once Hana dispelled Gojo's seal. But Hana herself was worried about Megumi as she asked Yuta what would happen to him. Yuta apologized to Hana and Angel as they may have to rely on their CT once again. Yuta asks them to fire Jacob's ladder as a finishing blow to Sukuna. That attack was their all-or-nothing attempt to split Sukuna and Megumi's souls. Spoilers then focused on Yuta. He expressed how his opponents always think about how many CTs he could have copied and kept in stock but never stopped to think about the possibility of the technique's original user appearing. This is because his opponents fall into the trap of thinking that Yuta takes away a technique, rather than copying it. With that, Yuta stated that the true strength of his copy technique was the ability to have two of the same cards in his hand. Right after, Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 263 spoilers end with Hanakurusu blasting Angel's maximum output, Jacob's ladder technique on Sukuna.